Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We have some more goodies in store for this guy right here today. Stay tuned. For those of you new to the channel, thanks for dropping by. Again, LTCamaro here. This is the guy that started it all. This is a 2010 V6 LLT, so the 3.6 liter. Boosted, built blocks, 3800 4K stalled, you name it, it's done to it, right? But we're not talking about this guy today. We're going to talk about the Wrangler JL project. This is a 2020 JL, the 2.0 turbo with the ESS, and this is what we got going on today. Excuse the mess, guys. I'm cleaning out the garage. It's pretty dirty today, but right here we have from RSO suspension, we have a new Trackbar. For the Wrangler, and then we also have from Rough Country, we have the Rough Country performance exhaust. So it's going to be a quick video. I'm just going to quickly install this. We'll do some quick runs in the Wrangler, quick how-to, and then you know, if there's any questions or comments, just drop them below. Now let's get down here real quick. I already started, but pretty much you just have two 21mm bolts. And one nut. There's one bolt right here on this side, factory track bar right there. And then if we follow this guy through, right, follow this guy right here through, there's a second ball with second bolt, sorry guys, with a nut in the back that we have to remove. Once we remove that, the whole assembly pretty much just pops off. Comparison right here. This is fully adjustable on one end by the axle. It's going to be a huge difference in steering. This thing is not going to pull anywhere. But yeah, again, for reference, all you need is a wrench or socket, pretty much just to hold the bolt on this side, on the chassis side. And then you just need a 21mm bolt. Now I'm using an electric impact to get this off. You can do this by hand. You can use a regular socket wrench. You know, your choice. I should be using the actual threading, not this universal one, but you know, it works. That's all that matters, as long as we get it off. All right guys, here's another view to give you another comparison. This is the factory one, and this guy is so much heavier. I mean, you'd expect that, right? Pretty much, again, here's the bolt. You had the bolts and the little carrier in the back, little nut jam, and same thing on the right side. Not gonna go too much into this. This is pretty simple, and there's tons of tutorials already existing on this, but pretty much all you have to do is take a tape measure. You're gonna measure from where the bolt opening starts all the way to the end of the next one. That's gonna be your starting point for adjusting your track bar, well, your adjustable track bar, assuming that's what you ordered. I mean, there's different benders for these things. They're pretty much all the same, and they all serve the same purpose. Then what's gonna happen is I'm gonna install this at the chassis first, so on this end first, and see if it lines up. If it doesn't, I'm gonna have to get in the car, turn the wheel slightly until it does, because when you turn the wheel, it actually move the axle, so you can fit into place. Then the only next step is to measure or align the axles. You want to have it as centered as possible. I'd say within maybe like a 1/8 range or 1/16 range. But yeah. Really quick guys, I gotta do my measurements now to make sure that this thing is centered. Easiest way to do this is to take something. I mean, I'm not holding it right now, right? Hold it up against your wheel and then take a point from the chassis and measure up until whatever you're using to measure. Just make sure you measure from the same point on both sides and try to get them as aligned as possible. If this is off even by a small amount, what I'll have to do is come down here, take out that bolt, which I left on loosely, I haven't tightened it yet, remove it, pop this out of place, and then make the adjustment here, and then, you know, measure again. So this is a little bit of a process, but you want to get it as aligned and centered as possible, just to make sure you don't run into any issues down the road. You could also just take this to get aligned. I mean, for just a track bar install, I wouldn't do it. If you do another suspension components, you know, like here I got that stabilizer, I got the Fox shocks back there, I gotta swap out those springs. But yeah, if you do anything major, sure, go get an alignment. They can take care of that for you. But again, this can be done from the comfort of your home. All right, that said, I am all set. Mine is exactly even. I tested like 4 different points. So I used for measurements just to make sure it coincided. Easiest for me was, I guess, the flare, that section of the flare. So from the center point of my flares here, I measured 7.5 inches on both sides, as an example. But again, you know, you want to take different measurements. Most people do it against like sections of the bumper, the inner fender. Some people can do it against like this, you know, the spring assembly, spring and shock assembly. It doesn't really matter as long as it's the same. And then you could also, depending on what kind of wheels you have, you can actually measure from the actual axis, the axle itself, outside the wheel. You know, if your tape measure can go through it. But yeah, I'm all set. I'm going to tighten this down. Make sure you tighten it down to 125 foot-pounds on both ends, and then you should be all set. Guys, now on to the exhaust. Let's get down here. All right, so this isn't a factory tow hook. I still might have to remove that. I mean, most videos for people installing exhausts and Wranglers, they remove it. I don't think I'm gonna have to, but pretty much it's really simple. So I don't know if you can see it. Try to focus. It's kind of dark down here, but right here we have one of the hangers for the exhaust. We have to unhook that on both sides, and then if you follow the piping, I mean, mine is, wow, this is all musted out. That right there is a 15mm bolt that has to get removed, and supposedly, or technically, the whole assembly just comes off, and then installation is just the reverse. Now I might actually have to cut this pipe. Luckily I have a pipe cutter, but yeah, we'll see. But it's really that simple. So this is the before, right? And then I'll show you guys the after once I'm done. It's just a quick side by side. And yeah, my shit was completely rusted. I ended up taking a saw and just hacking it. See if I can get a visual. And I hacked it off. So I'm gonna clean that up a bit before I throw this on. And I had to take out one bolt from the rear track bar so I can move it out of the way, so I had no space to cut it. But yeah, this is completely doable. I jacked up the car, threw it on jack stands. And yeah, we're ready for the new exhaust. All right, it looks so much better, but I did run into a problem. Unfortunately, it doesn't reach. Like, my pipe was that rusted. So what I'm gonna have to do is I'm gonna have to go get a coupler. So you have like about 2 inches in between. That's a 2.5 inch pipe. I'm just gonna get like a coupler extender so that I can connect this, and then we should be all set. All right, guys, exhaust is on. Let's